Are you ready for an epic adventure into World of Warcraft? My name is Erosium, and I am thrilled to welcome you back for another awesome World of Warcraft video. Today, we are going to dive into World of Warcraft and uncover some essential tips for all beginners out there. Are you ready for the journey? Let's go! One of the most exciting aspects of the game is the plethora of classes and races available to you. My best advice to new players is to let your heart guide you in choosing the race that speaks to you the most and aligns with your personal preferred playstyle. Do you want to be the savior of the team, healing and keeping them alive? Or maybe you want to be the ultimate tank, absorbing all damage and protecting your allies? Or do you want to unleash your inner dragon, dealing massive damage and taking down your enemies? Whatever your preference, there is a class for you. And if you want to try your hand at all three roles, there are classes that can do that, like the paladin, the monk, and the druid. They offer that flexibility. The next step in World of Warcraft is figuring out how you want to play the game. When deciding on a class, it's important to consider the different roles you can fulfill within the game. As a priest, you can play as a healer, mastering buffs and healing abilities, or alternatively, delving into the shadowy, dark arts. Warriors excel in close combat, using big battle weapons to smash their enemies into the ground. Tanks use their shields to absorb damage and keep their allies alive. As a warlock, you can call forth an army of imps or rain fire upon your cursed enemies. As a paladin, you are effectively a mixture of a priest and a warrior combined. You can either play as a tank, a healer, or even a melee damage dealer. Druids have mastered the naturalistic magics and can transform themselves into a bear tank, a healer, a saber-toothed tiger for melee damage, or even a space chicken to cast ranged damage spells. Hunters can play as a ranged or melee class with the option of using a pet to protect them from taking too much damage. Monks can focus on bringing forth their inner peace to mistweave the healing magics, or potentially dodge, duck, and dive using their drunken tanking abilities. Or even, perhaps they use their wind-walking melee damage to pummel their foes into dust. Mages have studied and studied until they can either specialize in frost, arcane, or fiery magic spells. The rogue focuses on sneaking up on enemies and using stealthy abilities to slay unsuspecting enemies. Shamans can call upon the elements to destroy their enemies with the help of well-placed totems and elementals to aid them in battle. Death Knights were once fierce warriors who fell in battle only to be raised once again as an unholy, frozen, or blood death knight. This class can play as both melee damage dealer or tank. Demon hunters have spent thousands of years hunting demons and have adapted to become fast, unkillable melee damage dealers or tanks. The Evoker is a humanoid dragon who have mastered the dragon magics to deal huge amounts of damage or turn back the time to heal their allies. So take your time and think about what role you want to play in World of Warcraft and find the class that suits you best. By exploring each class in depth, you can figure out which playstyle suits you. When choosing your class and race, remember that you must choose if you want to play as either Horde or Alliance. These are naturally opposing factions, but Blizzard have been working recently on integrating these two factions to be able to play with one another. They did originally start as enemies, but now you actually have the ability to play with the opposing faction in either dungeons or PvP or raiding. Additionally, as a new player, you will not have access to the allied races right away. but we'll have the option to unlock them later through certain in-game achievements. Once you've selected your character, give them an appropriate name and adjust their appearances as desired. You can also start in either your race-specific zone or in the new zone, Exile's Reach, which is designed to make it easier for new players to get started in World of Warcraft. Once you've locked into your character, you'll be prompted to follow a tutorial, which will teach you the basic fundamentals of how to play World of Warcraft. And this will guide you through to the next part of our epic story. Are you ready for a wonderful adventure? After completing the initial questline in Exile's Reach, it's time to dive into the depths of a challenging dungeon. But don't worry, once you conquer it, you'll be transported to the heart of your faction's city. For Alliance, that will be Stormwind, but for Horde, that will be Orgrimmar. Imagine the excitement as you explore the bustling streets, guided by an NPC who will show you the ropes. But have no fear, the adventure doesn't stop there. As a first-time player, you'll embark on an unforgettable journey through the previous expansion's leveling route, which is Battle for Azeroth. Your NPC guide will teach you the secrets of mount training and lead you on an epic storyline from Stormwind Keep or Orgrimmar to the Battle for Azeroth. You'll embark on a journey filled with thrilling quests, intense battles, and memorable moments. As you proceed to level your character up, you can sign up for random dungeons and experience the fun and engaging quests in BFA. The anticipation builds as you inch closer to level 60, and before you'll know it, you'll be ready to take on the Dragon Isles. At level 60, as long as you've bought the Dragonflight expansion, you'll automatically get the quest for heading over to the Dragon Isles. I highly encourage you to wait until you're level 60 to do this, as it is going to be quite tough, especially for new players. So, hold on to your seat, because the journey you're about to undertake into Dragonflight World of Warcraft is nothing short of epic. Imagine soaring through the skies on the back of a mighty dragon, the wind in your hair and the thrill of battle coursing through your veins. You'll begin your journey as an adventurer, there to help the dragons. But as you progress, you'll unlock new abilities, upgrade your gear and mounts, and rise through the ranks to become a powerful champion dragon rider. The enemies you'll face will be fierce, from giant fire-breathing dragons to ancient dragon cults, but with each victory, you'll become stronger and more skilled. But the journey isn't just about battling monsters. You'll also form powerful bonds with other players in groups or even guilds, and together you'll take on the toughest and most dangerous enemies. Imagine leading a team of dragons into battle and feeling the camaraderie and the triumph of victory. Are you ready to soar through the skies in Dragonflight World of Warcraft? As soon as you ding level 70, the doors of adventure swing open, and the world is yours to explore. There is so many quests in the Dragon Isles that it's as simple as just following the storyline and you'll ding level 70 in no time at all. Joining dungeons and battlegrounds is a breeze, so just press I for dungeons and H for battlegrounds. As a new player, there are a few settings you may want to tweak to make the game more comfortable. For example, turning on auto loot will automatically collect all the loot once you click a defeated mob, so you don't have to worry about manually clicking each individual item every time. You can also edit your complete user interface simply by pressing escape and going to edit mode. Using this mode, you can click on a bar and you can keybind the bars to whatever it is you want to use for your keybinds. Myself personally, I really like to stick with 1 through to 6, and then F1 through to F5, and then Q, E, T, V, Z, and X as extra keybinds. But you can play around with that and see what works for you. With 18 years of development, World of Warcraft has become a game that is constantly evolving, and one way to enhance your experience is to use add-ons. You can download a variety of add-ons from the various add-on websites, which can make the game even more comfortable and efficient. Are you ready to gear up and conquer the raids of Dragonflight in World of Warcraft? Once you hit level 70, Blizzard has implemented a fantastic mechanic that allows you to upgrade your gear each week with very little effort. Introducing the Great Vault. By simply defeating 3 bosses in any raid, you'll gain access to a piece of gear from the vault every Wednesday. And that's not all. By completing 1 Mythic Plus dungeon, you'll receive another choice of gear. And if you participate in any form of rated PvP and collect 1,250 honor, you'll also earn another choice of gear for Wednesday. This means you'll always be working towards something, always progressing and always getting stronger. But don't worry if you don't have the time to grind battlegrounds, dungeons, or raids to get even more gear choices. You can also do world quests for gear. It really depends on how far you want to go in your chosen form of gameplay. I myself, if I'm trying to gear up really quickly, I always push as much Mythic Plus as I can. That is high-level dungeon content. Once you've got the gear, you can always use your Valor points to upgrade your gear. To find that, just head over to the PvP section of the main Dragonflight city, which is Valdrakken. You can always upgrade your gear here, as long as you got it from the current season. But that's not all. There are several different weekly quests you can do, such as storyline quests, world quests, PvP weekly quests, and even PvE weekly quests as well. PvP stands for player versus player, and PvE stands for player versus environment. These quests provide a huge amount of resources to your character, allowing you to progress even faster. And speaking of progression, you can even purchase gear from vendors using conquest points and honor. Now remember, if you get a piece of equipment from a Mythic Plus dungeon, you can always take this over to the Catalyst in Thaldraszus, and you can turn this into a set piece of gear, as long as it is the right piece of equipment. Now you can do this once per week, so make sure that you research what pieces of gear you should turn into set bonus gear. Set bonus gear is really powerful and will give you extra abilities to become even more powerful in combat. Remember, as you complete world quests, the gear actually scales with your current item level. So as you get more gear, you will always be able to improve on your gear by just simply completing world quests. Not only that, but you can also craft yourself gear using the new crafting order station in Valdrakken. Not only can you use other people's skills and abilities to craft this gear, but you can also get involved and craft other people's gear using this wonderful mechanic in the game. Are you ready to unleash your full potential in World of Warcraft Dragonflight? Upon reaching level 70, it can be tough to figure out how best to perform on your character, but don't worry. The best way to do this is to practice against things like target dummies. This is an amazing way to figure out which spells to use and which to avoid during combat. If you're unsure about anything, be sure to check out either Wowhead or Icy Veins or Battle Shout for information about World of Warcraft. And remember, World of Warcraft is a highly competitive game, so if you're not quite ready for the high-level dungeons, then perhaps you want to do normal and then work your way up to heroic and then work your way up to Mythic Plus. If you plan on joining guilds and participating in raiding or PvP, people will expect you to know what you're doing. So make sure you research and you practice against target dummies until it becomes natural to you to use your keybinds and abilities like that. Using keybinds is always going to give you a slight edge over those who click, but don't worry if you can't quite yet, just practice it. Trust me, even my 60-year-old dad learned to keybind and now he prefers it. So don't be afraid to give something new a try. Remember, if you don't like the whole player versus environment or PvP, you can also just collect mounts, pets, and even transmog gear, which is basically how your gear looks. Don't forget, if you want more tips and tricks like this, subscribe to my YouTube channel and check out my Patreon link for epic gold guides on how to make millions of gold in World of Warcraft. And if you want to support me directly, then check out my epic dragon t-shirts for sale in the description. Thanks for watching. This is Erosium out, and I'll see you in the next World of Warcraft video.